So it's been a busy start to the year. We're in February already. It's a really important year for the sector, 2024. It's going to be a lot going on, working out some of the details as we try to move towards delivery across some of the key policy areas. On the policy side, the two big key drivers are going to be the resources and waste strategy and the emissions trading scheme. And we've got a very comprehensive work programme already established to make sure that we are preparing the sector, preparing the industry for those big changes coming forward. The resources and waste strategy will continue to be the cornerstone of policy affecting recycling services all around the country. In 2023, we did start to get some of the high level information coming out of government, but of course there's a huge amount of detail that still needs to be worked out but underneath that. On packaging EPR, the shadow scheme administrator is now in place. They've got a lot of detail that they need to work out, whether that's what modulated fees are going to look like for the producers, what efficient and effective services means for councils, how that translates into the payment mechanism for councils. That needs to be worked out this year. We're heavily involved in working out the finer details of the MF regulations, so how the policy is going to be delivered at sorting facilities, what the sampling regime is going to look like. In fact, things as simple as what facilities are actually going to be captured by the regulations. So there are things that still need to be clarified and worked through with policymakers, and we're at the forefront of making sure that the industry is working closely through that process to make sure it works for facilities on the ground. I think one of the challenges for the industry is to see how that's going to drive investment, and the investment that we're going to need in order to step up to the next level to make sure that we hit some of those future recycling rates. I mean, certainly for us at ESA, one of the most important things we see is a stronger driver on demand for materials, on end market demand for recycled materials. So that could start, the plastics tax at the moment is not really driving the right behaviour and the right outcomes. We would like to see a much stronger incentive driven through that, something like a plastics tax escalator modelled on the huge success of the landfill tax escalator, going perhaps something to like £500 a tonne. We're over maybe giving a 5-year certainty, and also moving that recycled content threshold. 30% recycled content isn't going to deliver the size of domestic market that we're going to need to recycle all of the plastics that we're going to be collecting in order to hit those targets. So something like 30 to 50% over a 5 to 10 year time frame would really help to give the signal that we're going to need to invest. On the emissions trading scheme, everyone's got 2028, that's the big date when payments are going to start for energy from waste facilities in the emissions trading scheme. But before that, the reporting is actually going to start from 2026. So that doesn't actually give us much time. So we really need to be starting now, making sure that we're working out what the protocols are, what some of the details are going into some of the regulations, and how energy from waste is brought into the system, so that we can start testing some of this stuff next year and make sure that we're ready for that 2026 entry point. We're working very closely with the Environment Agency and other regulators to see what we can do to make sure that regulation really does drive the right outcomes for the sector. Permitting has been a particular issue in recent years, with some really lengthy delays around some of those timescales. We and the agency have been working together to see what we can do to improve that, and the Environment Agency has invested a lot of resources and has attracted a lot of new people in to try and improve the permitting function, and we'll continue to work with officials to see what we can do to help try and speed up the process. Following the recent judicial review outcome into CAR scores and an independent appeals process for compliance scoring, the Environment Agency has introduced an interim position, so now people are able to lodge an appeal centrally with the Environment Agency within 14 days if they're unable to resolve an issue with their local office. But what we really want to see is something independent, an independent appeals process. So we will be working closely with agency officials to see how that can be delivered in practice. Digital waste tracking is due to come into force in 2025, so that's only a year away. There is a whole load of detail and uncertainty that still needs to be resolved around that, and how it's going to apply in practice, how it's going to interface with existing systems and so forth. So we've been submitting a whole raft of detailed questions and are working closely with officials to make sure that those can be resolved and we can understand exactly what we're going to need to be doing from next year onwards. Waste crime, of course, will continue to be a serious issue in 2024 and onwards. Defra's fly tipping stats show that there are some areas in which the figures continue to go in the wrong direction. Our head of regulation, Sam Court, was invited onto BBC Breakfast to talk about some of those figures, but we do really need to see stronger action on enforcement to really try and stamp out waste crime once and for all. ESA was invited to comment on the launch of Defra's consultation on the WEEE regulations back over the Christmas period, and Defra is now consulting on those revisions to how we deal with our waste electricals. That's due to close on the 7th of March, and of course ESA will be submitting a full response to that consultation. We participated recently in a roundtable with the Minister to really stress the importance of making sure that we do drive up the capture rates for waste electricals, as well as being really critical to recovering more materials and delivering a more circular economy. One of the more prosaic reasons for us in the industry for trying to get these waste electricals out of the waste stream, raise those capture rates, get it out of the waste stream, is just from fires. We're having 2 fires a day in the industry. It's massive cost. Some parts of the sector are becoming practically uninsurable. Insurance rates are up 500% in recent years, and it's something that's really a high priority because it's really causing problems across the sector. In April, we'll be hosting our biennial strategy day, where we'll get our members together to work out what the big priorities need to be for the future. As part of our drive towards higher standards across the sector, we're going to be reviewing our code of conduct this year to really see how that can be used to drive ESA membership as a badge of quality across the industry. We'll also be launching a new report from Tolvik, which gives an overview of the market structure and some of our commentary on some of the drivers and how that's going to shape things going forward. To find out more about ESA's work programme, please check out the links below, and we look forward to working with all of our members and stakeholders from across the sector in 2024.